Nearly 10 years ago, Ford introduced the SVT Raptor name to North America. It was everything that you wanted an off-road factory-tuned truck to be. It had an upgraded suspension, it had badass looks, and it had a honking 6.2-liter V8 under the hood. Now, Ford originally thought this was going to be a specialty model that wouldn't really sell to the masses, but that quickly changed. This became a huge success for Ford, which is why you're looking at the all-new second-generation model introduced in 2017 and based off of the 13th generation Ford F-150. Now, what I want to know is, because there's so much new competition hitting this factory off-road truck space, is the Raptor still the king of the segment? That's what we're here to find out. So you're probably wondering, why the hell am I sitting on the ground in front of the Raptor? It looks like it's going to run over me. Well, I wanted to emphasize just how damn wide this truck is, and it's literally one of the most wide vehicles you can buy. Ford says it's 86.5 inches long. That's over 7 feet long. To illustrate that, I'm 5'7", and even if I do this, I'm not longer than the actual width of this truck. So trying to get it into tight parking spaces is never a good thing. But let's talk about the design of this thing, because seriously, it looks even more badass than the first generation Raptor that came out back in 2010. This particular color that I'm showing you in is Velocity Blue. It's a new color for 2019. It's gorgeous. It really matches the overall character of this truck. And just like all the other Raptors, the grille is unique. It has Ford spelled out at the front to really emphasize that this is a Ford. It's a really bad looking truck. This rear view, or this front camera, is optional. It's kind of like that off-road camera that I showed you on the new Wrangler. It even has a built-in washer so you can clean it when you guys are off-roading. And then Raptors, all of them come standard with full LED headlights, where you'll have an LED low and high beam, LED turn signals, and LED daytime running lights. No fog lights, as you can see. Instead, you have a unique front fascia that really gives this truck one of the best approach angles in the class at 44.5 degrees, and even has this little interesting hole here where you can see the new Fox live valve shocks that were introduced for 2019. Remember, this has an upgraded suspension to give it, or to match the off-road looks of this thing. It's a really, really menacing looking truck that I wouldn't want to see tailgating me in my rearview mirror if this thing was right on my ass while I was driving. Now, in terms of the size and the cab configurations, the Raptor is a little bit more simple versus the other F-150 lines. You can take it between a super cab, which is kind of like the half doors, or this super crew model, and all of them only have a short bed, a 5.5-foot bed. Now, these wheels, let me first talk about those. These are massive tires riding on 315/70 R17. These wheels are actually optional. They're $2,000 extra for the beadlock wheels. So wrapped with the KO, or the BF Goodrich all-terrain KO2 tires. This is a truck that you basically could almost run over anything. And in potholes around DC, you don't even need to fear the potholes, because this truck can definitely handle it. Now, in terms of the suspension, it has been lifted over a regular F-150. Ford says the ground clearance is at around 11.5 inches. That's actually 0.4 inches more than what you get on that new Jeep Gladiator Rubicon. So again, best in class ground clearance, a little bit more, I believe, than the Sierra AT4 that I just tested. I really like the side step over here that my tester has. It kind of helps short people like myself get in. And in terms of the size, this is seriously one big truck. Its wheelbase at 146 inches long is about an inch longer than the standard F-150, and at 232 inches long, this is a big truck. So again, if you guys are planning to really do some serious off-roading, you might want to consider the super cab model, because this could probably get in the way, especially when you're on those really tight trails. But of course, the back seat is much larger, which I'll show you in just a moment. Now, these graphics that you're seeing on the side, this is optional. panel. It's $1,000 extra for the Raptor graphics package. It also gives you a little graphic on the hood. I'm surprised that they're not actually, it's literally just a sticky. For $1,000, I was expecting it to be a little bit nicer, so surprised that Ford didn't do something a little bit better there for the money. But at the back here, you can see it spells out Ford again, just to show that this is a Raptor when these things pass you. You've got a small little Raptor badge. You can delete this if you guys don't want this actual graphic on the back of the truck, which again can be a little too gaudy depending on your taste. Now, as you can see, the departure angle has also been improved over the regular truck because it's got its own unique bumper. You can see there's 2 tow hooks over here, and the Raptor is capable of towing up to 8,000 pounds if you guys get the Super Crew model. I also really love the dual exhaust. This is again going to show off the new twin turbo V6. I'll let you guys hear what that sounds like real quick. And of course, you purists, or if you've owned the previous Raptor, that V6 definitely doesn't sound like a V8, but we'll go into the test drive later on. Now, backup camera is going to be standard. My tester basically has the 360 camera, and it also has a very usable bed. The bed measures, as I said, 5.5 feet. This is the only size you can get on the Raptor. It'll actually carry a maximum payload of around 1,200 pounds, so it has been reduced by about half compared to the regular F-150s. Again, Ford had to add in some more capability. I also really like this little tailgate step that my tester has for 400 bucks. You can see it's got a nice little handle here to help people who are short like me get into this bed. As you can see, the bed, I think it's very usable, probably more usable than the new Jeep Gladiator, although they are the same length, but I just feel like this feels a little bit deeper. It's not quite as shallow as the Jeep. And then when you want to get down from here, that handle makes it super easy. I like the way Ford designs this, and when you want to put this away, they even mark this, so put that down first, push that down afterwards, and then just kind of push this back in, and it neatly stores away. So once you're done oogling over the exterior of the new Raptor, let's hop into the inside. But the first thing I want to talk about here is the key fob for the Raptor. You're going to always know it's a Raptor because it's got Raptor spelled out on the actual fob. It's also got these kind of dark chrome plates on the actual buttons of the remote. This remote keyless access, the intelligent access key, is actually optional despite how expensive this truck is. It does come with a remote start. To activate the remote start, just double tap that button there. And as you can see, the truck starts up pretty quick. If you want to shut off the truck, double tap that same button and it'll shut off the truck for you. Now, as you approach the door handle of the Raptor, you're going to notice there's a big black button here. When you have the intelligent access key, just touch your thumb there. That'll lock the doors for you. To unlock the doors, touch the back of the door handle. There's a sensor, and that will unlock the doors for you. Now, my tester has a pretty expensive $2,800 blue accent package, in addition to the 802 upgrade package that's for almost $10,000. Basically transforms this interior. These Recaro seats are actually a new option for 2019 with the blue suede, the blue stitching. They look great. The seats actually, they hold you really well, yet they're still wide enough to accommodate somebody of a wider frame. You can see there's kind of an 8-way power seat with a 3-person memory. The massaging seats that are available on the other trims of the F-150 are not available on the Raptor, but as you can see, my tester has this really nice step rail right there, along with the grab handle to help short people like myself get into this truck. But once you get in here, you can see really nice commanding view of the road. When you shut the door, it's nice and heavy and solid sounding. So again, expensive truck, badass looking truck. You kind of expect all of these things. Now to start the vehicle up, put your foot on the brake and push this button here to fire up the engine. Now you can see the rest of this interior hasn't really changed too much from a regular F-150. Same dashboard design, slightly unique gauges, unique steering wheel with the red accent over here, kind of going with the off-road Baja truck theme. You've got these really nice paddles that are mounted to the wheel that are massive. They're also made out of real metal, which is nice. No flat bottom wheel, but you can see nice Raptor badge right there at the bottom of the steering wheel. My tester also, part of that interior blue accent package, has real carbon fiber kind of splashed throughout the dashboard and on the door panels here, so that's all really nice. Now let me talk about the interior materials. This dashboard here is a soft touch material with some faux stitching. It's kind of on the entire dashboard. There's some hard touch plastic here that definitely feels on the cheaper side. There's definitely some build quality and fitment issues that I'm seeing in my particular one. Mine has only 2,700 miles on it. You can see right there, that trim piece doesn't line up properly, which is kind of disappointing to see. It's actually coming up there. So again, I'm gonna chalk that down to mine probably being an early production unit. I'm not entirely sure, but really bad first impression when you see that there. It kind of sticks out like a sore thumb. The steering wheel does feel really nice. It is a power tilt and telescoping function. It's a heated wheel. It's part of that 802A upgrade package for almost $10,000. The door panel here is soft touch material with more of that carbon fiber, real carbon fiber. It's hard touch plastic over here. The windows are one touch automatic for all four, so that's something I kind of expected. Nice padded area over here where your elbows would rest. It's all hard touch plastic down here with some additional storage. The door handle, as you can see, is this nice little positioning there that kind of reminds me of a Super Duty. So again, very big truck. I like this cutout here that kind of gives you a little bit more of a view from the front window. You do have some power adjustable pedals down here. That's part of that 802 upgrade package. You also have an electronic parking brake, which is definitely good, a nice modern feature. The infotainment system here hasn't really changed. You still have the 8-inch forward sync 3 infotainment system that does include Apple CarPlay, as you can see, and Android Auto. This 8-inch screen is standard, so you don't have to upgrade. You do have to pay extra for the embedded factory navigation that my tester has whenever you go to the actual Ford display, which it won't show you while the car is actually plugged into my phone. So let me unplug that, go to nav over there. You can see there is the current Ford navigation system, if it would show up. And it is a little bit on the slower side. Ford has definitely been working to improve this, but just keep in mind they've got a newer infotainment system that replaces this, that shows much improved graphics. This kind of is a little crunchy. It looks like it comes off of like an iPhone that's 3 generations ago, for example. So if you look at the newer Ford products, the new Lincoln products, they have a newer infotainment system with a much larger display. So again, this is an older infotainment system, so keep that in mind. The F-150 came out back in 2015. Now over here you can see your 4-wheel drive system switch is over there. You also have a locking rear differential. Trailer backup controller is also included. This is part of that 802A upgrade package. The infotainment, or the instrument panel here, you can see, love that big display. It does show you a lot of useful information. You can see there's your trip and fuel economy information. The Raptor is newly available with a crawl control or trail control. It's kind of like an off-road cruise control. It kind of shows you again, or kind of helps you with driving slowly or quickly on off-road slippery surface areas, so you just have to steer. The Raptor status, you can see, shows you some pretty useful information when you guys are going off-road status, stuff like that, power distribution. So really cool graphics here. Definitely starting to look a little bit dated-ish, although this is pretty competitive with most of the class. I guess I was just kind of expecting more considering the price of this truck. You do have some nice features, of course, which is good, that kind of differentiate it. When you put the vehicle into reverse, you can see there's a 360 camera that's part of that 802A upgrade package. Really helpful for a vehicle that's this large. It's 7 feet wide, over 7 feet wide, as I said. So again, this is going to help you with parking this vehicle. No automatic parallel parking, not available on this truck, but it does have front and rear parking sensors. Now down here you can see 2 USB ports, great storage for your phone. You can also close this if you'd like, with more of that carbon fiber trim. Large cup holders over here, more storage. This controls the 10-speed automatic transmission with a manual mode here or on the steering wheel. And then if you want to change the drive modes, they're actually over here, where you can alter the drive modes between deep sand and snow. It'll also put it into 4-wheel drive. Baja, rock crawl, slippery, tow haul, sport, and then most of the times the truck will default to a normal mode, which again, it's all controlled from the steering wheel controls over here. Or you can also customize just the steering feel. If you guys want to leave it in normal, you can change it between comfort, sport, and normal, so it adjusts basically the heft of the steering wheel. Now, over here you can see very large center console where you could literally store a laptop computer or a purse or whatever you'd like to store, a bag. This is nice and padded with more of that blue suede. Cup holders back here for the rear passengers. The glove compartment, as you can see, is actually a little bit small, but it's 2-tier, so you can put your owner's manual over there, but it's not lined with felt. It is damped. My tester is missing, frustratingly, a panoramic sunroof that's $1,500 extra. So considering the price of this truck, kind of wish it had that. You do have some nice LED lighting throughout the cabin and on the exterior of the truck. You have these auxiliary switches over here, or whatever you guys would like to mount. You can open up the rear window from this little switch over there. which is pretty cool, but really wish it had the pano sunroof to let it all light. The Recaro seats, I actually find them to be very comfortable. Love the fact that they're heated and cooled. Dual zone climate control is included, but it's an option. But overall, the cabin is nice. Does it look $75,000 nice? I wouldn't say so. However, you do have some nice features. The seats are a huge upgrade this year. The carbon fiber is nice, but just remember, you're still kind of getting a Ford F-150 shell with some nicer equipment that, you know, may or may not justify the added price that this one definitely commands. So the big reason to choose the Super Crew over the Super Cab is obviously the rear seat space. But before I get into the back seat to show you the space, there are some clever options here. You can flip up this seat bottom and you can see there are some nice little storage areas here. Ford actually offers the option to add like a lockable storage area, which is kind of similar to that new Jeep Gladiator. But this is pretty comparable, and if you need to actually use the cab to put stuff in here, look at all the space it gives you when you actually flip up the seat bottom. You could put large things in here. Maybe even a bike could probably fit in here if you guys don't want to put it out in the bed space. There's a little latch over here that you can pull that makes the seat come down. Now getting back here, there's a nice little grab handle that I can grab onto, and Ford actually says the legroom in here matches that of the front. You're looking at 42 inches of legroom, which makes this thing massive. It's an unexpected family vehicle that you could actually put 3 people across back here, and because of the flat floor, everyone would be comfortable, and because it's also 86 inches wide, you won't be rubbing shoulders with your passengers whenever you're sitting next to them. Now, in terms of the space, as you can see, I'm 5'7", so much space in here. I would be comfortable on hours-long road trips. The materials are hard touch plastic, which is kind of similar to what you get in the front seats, more of that carbon fiber trim. You do have plenty of storage though, mat pockets over here, big cup holders, you have rear seat vents with 3 separate power outlets here. 2 level heated rear seats on only the outboard portions, and then you also have a nice little armrest here that folds down that gives you even more in terms of cup holders, although I will say this feels a little on the flimsy and cheap side. But overall, the back seat definitely gets an A+ for me. It will unexpectedly carry 3 people in comfort. So under the hood of this massive beast, if you guys were expecting a twin turbo V8 or V8 in general, you're going to be mistaken. Ford has replaced it with a 3.5 liter twin turbocharged V6. So that old 6.2 liter V8 is gone. Now, thankfully, because it's a boosted engine, it's also a unique tune for the Raptor. Ford calls it the high output version. It makes 450 horsepower and 510 pound-feet of torque. That's almost 40 more horsepower than the old V8 and about 70 more foot-pounds of torque versus the old V8. And it's also realized at a much lower RPM. So even though we lost 2 cylinders, we're getting more performance, which is probably something that nobody can really complain about. Now, it all goes out through a new transmission. It's a 10-speed automatic transmission, so 4 more gears versus the previous generation. That's your only transmission option. And then, of course, all Raptors are going to be 4-wheel drive with that low-range transfer case. And Ford, because they've switched to this new platform, it's been significantly lightened versus the previous generation. Ford says it's about 500 pounds lighter because of extensive use of aluminum in the chassis. So this truck still is not light. It weighs around 5,700 pounds, considering that this is 500 pounds lighter. The old Raptor was definitely fat. Now, fuel economy has also been improved because this is a V6. It's rated at 15 in the city, 18 on the highway. That's an improvement about 3 mpg versus the previous generation. Please be sure to put premium gas in this thing. It's what Ford recommends, but let's get it on the road and see how it all performs. So it's been quite a few years since I've actually driven a Raptor and posted a video on the channel. I think the first Raptor I did was like a 2011, and that was one of the first videos on the channel to get over 1 million views relatively quickly. So obviously, this Ford has a lot of fans, and it's pretty easy to see why. Now, first, getting behind the wheel of the new Raptor, everything that you love about the first generation Raptor is pretty much carried over. This is a truck that has a lot of presence to it that will turn a lot of heads. It literally looks like a car that belongs in Transformers. It's just such a badass car, and one thing I love about it is you sit up higher than mostly everyone else on the road. I mean, sure, semi-trucks are higher, but this thing has seriously so much grunt. The noise is the most controversial element of the new Raptor. I mean, it's a 3.5 liter EcoBoost twin turbo high output V6. This is the same motor that Ford's been using for a long time, or at least an updated version of it. And with 450 horsepower, almost 40 more than the old one, and like 80 more foot-pounds of torque, this thing is quick. Whenever you put your foot down, this thing just surges forward, and it doesn't feel like it weighs almost 3 tons. This thing feels so fast, and it drives relatively well. Now, granted, I'm out here on the highway, which is probably where a lot of Raptor owners are going to be driving their Raptor most of the times. I mean, let's face it, as much as this thing looks so badass to where you want to take it anywhere, if there was a zombie apocalypse tomorrow, this is the car that I would definitely want to be driving if I had an unlimited amount of fuel available. But just driving on the highway, this is a surprisingly comfortable car. The ride quality, because of those Fox shocks, also makes this thing relatively daily drivable. The only thing that you have to get used to is the fact that this damn truck is over 7 feet wide. It barely fits in the lanes, which honestly, I mean, the fact that you're so high up, you can see over everything so well. Once you kind of get used to the way the steering is, I mean, the steering in this truck has different adjustability. So if I put it into sport over here, it kind of gets a little heavier. It's just adding a little more heft to it. The steering itself is very slow. It's kind of what you expect for an off-road vehicle. It's good for off-roading and such, but putting your foot down, the transmission is that 10-speed automatic that was co-developed with Ford and GM. I'm gonna actually shift it into sport mode over here. Put our foot down. The noise is interesting. It is a very interesting noise, but you know, for how big this thing is and how it's so not aerodynamic, this thing will get up to triple-digit speeds very quickly. And it will put a smile on your face. I mean, 0 to 60 times, I've seen it as quick as 5 seconds, which is insane for a truck that weighs 5,700 pounds or whatever this thing weighs. It's so heavy, but you know, you do feel the fact that this thing's weight has been reduced by 500 pounds for the previous generation because of all the aluminum that they use in this truck. The noise in here is also pretty quiet. I mean, you do hear some wind noise, but I don't really hear too much in terms of tire drumming noise from those BF Goodrich KO2 tires. You know, they've done a really good job with the noise isolation, which is good because you could daily drive this thing and take it on a long road trip. So much room in here. It's so comfortable. The seats are comfortable. You can see out of this thing relatively well. My truck has all the driver assistance stuff because it has that Raptor technology package. So you've got adaptive cruise control with full speed range, you've got active lane keeping assist, automatic braking, but it's really when you start taking some corners in this thing, you don't want to go too fast because the truck, you know, it doesn't feel like it's going to tip over, but it feels weird that I'm pushing this thing on an off ramp and I'm going probably a little faster than I would like. The tires aren't really screaming too much in protest, but just that noise. It's a strange noise. From the outside, this thing sounds like a tuner, like a Japanese sports car. It's got like a strange like whistle noise with a twin turbo V6. A lot of you are gonna miss that V8, and I don't blame you. I don't particularly love the sound. It doesn't fit the character of this truck, but I can't argue with the performance. The 10-speed, on the other hand, I can argue with because when you have it in its sport mode like it is now, we're gonna leave it in two-wheel drive because I wanna see if this thing will actually spin out the tires. A little bit of a jerky shift there. I was actually surprised with how jerky that shift was. But that noise, that synthesized noise, it's just kind of filling my ear with fake noise. And again, if you're gonna do a fake noise, I prefer that you do a fake noise that actually sounds good. And this, I don't know if it sounds good. I've heard better, you know, augmented noises from a turbocharged 6-cylinder. But the 10-speed, I have a love-hate relationship because I really didn't like it in the Mustang GT with the V8. It is better in this Raptor with the, just so many gears to go through with the V6. Interesting. I mean, I can't argue with the performance. This is one fast-ass truck. Love the speed. The noise is interesting. The 10-speed, sometimes it's good, sometimes it isn't. Most of the times, if you just leave it in normal, I found that the transmission shifts well. The ride quality is good. I mean, it's typically a little bouncy, but super comfortable. These tires make it so you can just run over any pothole. You don't fear the potholes if you plan to daily drive this thing. Just get used to trying to pilot a 7-foot wide truck down the interstate on these two lanes where it barely fits in the lane. So it's something that you kind of get used to and whatnot. But let's talk about the fuel economy because Ford switched to an EcoBoost V6 for a reason. And I've been averaging around 12 to 13 miles to the gallon doing that most of the times and being stuck in the city. So I bet you could do a little bit better on the highway. I did get it up to about 16, 17 mpg. So this is not aerodynamic. The 10-speed does help with keeping the revs very low, but just keep that in mind. You didn't buy this to save gas, but it is an improvement over the old V8. But other than that, it's a pleasant driving truck that just constantly reminds you that you're king of the road, and that's probably the reason why it continues to sell well, why it continues to have so many fans out there. You can't deny that the Raptor seriously fits the bill of a true off-road performance-oriented truck. It looks special, and that's what makes the Raptor continue to stand out from the pack, especially with new competition that is coming out from the Sierra AT4 and the Ram Rebel. But hopping down here, ooh, I'm really short. After spending the week with this Raptor, I have to say, is it still the king of the off-road truck segment? Well, as you guys saw, on-road it's unexpectedly comfortable. Its V6 engine is smooth, it's fast, it basically moves around like it doesn't weigh almost 3 tons. It has relatively good steering, a good ride quality, a relatively quiet interior. In fact, it may be even too quiet. The exhaust noise just doesn't do it for me. Now, I'm usually okay with vehicles that have a twin-turbo V6, but the noise just sounds more like import tuner car instead of off-road factory-tuned American truck, which is what the looks scream. So I imagine some of you may be swapping out the exhaust with something, or maybe even picking up a previous generation Raptor with its old 6.2-liter V8. Does it feel more special than the competition? Like, for example, I just drove the new Jeep Gladiator and the Sierra AT4. Yes, it does, but I think I prefer the smaller looks of the Jeep, which will probably end up doing better off-road, and the fact that it's convertible, but the Raptor still has its place, and I still think of it as the king of the off-road truck segment. So with all that said, if you guys are actually looking to purchase one of these trucks, what's it going to cost? Well, the Raptor ain't cheap. This truck starts at $52,800 for the base Super Cab model, and base is a relative term because the Raptor already comes well equipped. If you guys are looking to purchase the Super Crew because you need the back seat, that's going to cost you about another $3,000. So this one starts at $55,800. That sounds pretty reasonable until you factor in the fact that a base Raptor doesn't have intelligent access key. It has cloth seats. So if you really want to add those, you need to add the 801A upgrade package for $3,000, which adds leather, push button start, heated and cooled seats. Now, my tester, the most expensive option that it has is the 802 upgrade package that includes all of those features, plus the power tilt telescoping steering wheel, B&O sound system, navigation. My tester also has those Recaro seats, which are a new option, the graphics package, the wheels. Mine stickers for a ridiculous $75,000, which honestly took my breath away. I thought this truck at most was around $68,000, but Ford clearly has been upping the price over the years. It's even missing a sunroof for another $1,500, so you could spend about $76,500 on this truck. And keep in mind, if you guys are actually looking to purchase one of these things, there are typically $5,000 to $10,000 markups that dealers are charging, and people pay them all day long for Raptors. So it's really kind of an $80,000 to $85,000 proposition. But really, if you guys look at the actual competition, the Raptor feels more special than the other competitors that I mentioned previously. If you're going to actually look for something that feels just as special as this, you're going to have to go to like something like a Mercedes-Benz G-Wagon, which is easily twice the price of the Raptor when you factor in all the options that Mercedes is going to charge you with. But I hope you guys have enjoyed my full overview on this 2019 Ford F-150 Raptor. If you're also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, be sure to follow me on Instagram at Redline_reviews. Like us on Facebook, and as always, guys, please keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video. Space. Now, to put the seat down, why is it? Oh, there's a little latch over here that you can pull. So the ones that I've seen on the other competitors, I like how Ford kind of hides it in here, but you kind of have to first stick that in. I'm like, oh. How do I get this back in? Wait, did I do this wrong? Okay. Oh, there we go. There we go. All right, let me do that again.